What we
Sure.
want to talk about today is the nine, like I said, the 9 marketing funnels that you really should know about. And again, we're going to be talking about those. Kind of as I mentioned, online business really is done through funnels. This is how we engage with people. This is how we communicate. This is how we get our message out. So if you really want to learn how to make sales online, you need to learn how funnels work and how to use them properly. It's how the game is done in an online environment. And in the world that we live in, online is where the vast majority of business is being done nowadays. So being good at this and learning this skill is really imperative for you to be able to find success. So for those of you who may be a little bit like, I'm not exactly sure. So what is a marketing funnel? A marketing funnel is really a series of pages, a series of web pages that takes a potential buyer from being an interested party to a customer. So we start off just like, I'm just curious, I want to learn more. And we take them through a series of things, a series of information and trainings and so forth, that then at the end, they're like, oh, wow, this is amazing. And I see why this is the answer. I want to buy it. And that's how we take them through the journey. And more often than not, we usually start with a free offer, some type of free training, PDF, a resource, something that we offer for free. And we use that as an education piece to get people started and get them to learn more about this subject and to learn more about what it is that they're facing and how to solve the problem. And then as we go through the training, as we go through the information that we're sharing, that's when we move to an offer. And that's where we make an offer to help them either, again, one of two things. We're either helping people solve a problem or we're helping people fulfill a desire. Those are one of the two things that all the stuff that we do is going to fill one of those two buckets. Either something's wrong and I need some help fixing it, or there's something I want to do and I need help figuring out how to do it. And then after that, which usually followed with upsells and other offers, and other things that we do, we add on into the funnel. So there's additional opportunities for people to purchase things. So the number one funnel really is what I consider a webinar funnel. The webinar funnel is really probably the number one funnel that all of you have probably come in contact with. People opt in for a free training. It can be live or it can be recorded on a highly valuable topic that's of interest to them. This is probably the one more than anything else that people have experienced, is that you register for a webinar, again, live or recorded, and then you listen to a presentation on a topic that's of interest that you're trying to that's important to you. And then at the end of the presentation, the person giving the webinar makes an offer. And you see as they teach the presentation, this is what you're facing, these are the challenges, and here's how a solution is made. And the solution is always the offer. The solution then shows you how to solve the challenge that you're facing. And then after that, follow-up emails are usually sent to all the people who registered to help capture additional sales. And it's really the primary staple of online marketing. If you're going to do something, this is one of the, this is kind of like the backbone of a lot of the funnels that are out there. The second type of funnel I want to cover is called a video sales letter. The video sales letter is where people opt in for a free training, kind of similar to a webinar, but it's usually shorter. And it's, again, on a highly valuable topic. So you're listening to a video that talks about something that's going to train you on how to do something, or going to teach you some new ideas that you may not have been aware of. And then at the end of the presentation, just like a webinar, an offer is made. And there's usually something listed below the video detailing it out, or depending on the offer, how complex it is. There's things in the video as well that get shared for what you can do to purchase something that is a solution to the issue that was talked about. And then the second page, they usually have a second page, and this is where it varies from the webinar funnel. The webinar funnel is just a training with an offer made. It's just like one hit. The video sales letter is a stack of pages where we have the initial training, which again is shorter. And then once they say yes to buying the initial offer, they actually go to a second sales page with another video, which has an upsell, which has another opportunity of something else that you can buy and do. And it's a great way to stack multiple sales into one funnel. So you can have an initial offer and then a second offer. And a lot of times those offers may not be as expensive, but it depends on how you want to structure it. But you stack them so you have multiple opportunities for people to buy. The third opportunity is a Tripwire funnel, and I have a feeling you're probably going to be seeing some of these around the Thanksgiving time, to be honest with you, because these are really popular. Because essentially how this funnel starts is people are given the opportunity to purchase a very valuable product or service that is ridiculously underpriced. You probably have seen these as well. Get this, this, and this for only $7 or something like that. And you look at it and go, that is worth way more than $7. So yes, of course I would want to grab that. And of course I want to get that $7 product because it's just so stacked so immensely high the other way. The value that you're getting is so, exponentially more than that $7 fee that it gets a lot of people to jump in at that low price. Then on the second page, a second product gets offered. So you have like, okay, well, I bought this $7 product and I'm feeling really good and I'm really excited. I'm going to get this thing. This was a steal. And then what happens is you go to a second page and then there's another opportunity to buy a second product. And a lot of times people are so grateful and excited that they got this amazing deal that a lot of them will say, well, that looks really good too. I'll just grab that as well. And then you even sometimes can have a third page with a second upsell. So this is how, you may sell the initial product super cheap and at a very underpriced rate. But then from there, you have the opportunity to stack two other sales on it, which makes the funnel generate a lot more income.
Real quick, David, would this be how grocery stores kind of do it too from a coupon standpoint? Would you kind of say that's kind of the end brick and mortar approach sometimes?
Yes, they do a lot of things like this where grocery stores will even have like loss leaders where they will send out coupons and mailers and things that they will offer a product, which is just like they're actually losing money on that product.
Right.
And they will actually sell that thing below cost because they know when you go to the grocery store, you're not just going to come pick up, more than likely, you're not just going to pick up bread. Right. It's not just bread that you get. Why do they have shopping carts? Because you usually have 20 or more items in your cart on a visit. So they get you to come in for something that they're losing money on, and then they make enough money on all the other additional products that you buy that it works out okay.
Yeah. I just bring that up because, folks, I want you to understand that we're talking online business through this, group so much, but this is what's happening even as you walk into a store in the physical spaces, kind of to David's point at the beginning of this, that we've all been dealing with funnels of some kind. Now it's just moving it to the online space, and it looks a little different, or maybe feels a little different. It's foreign language to you. So proceed.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. Like I said earlier, this is still business. We're still doing business like we would if we had a physical location. We're just doing it all on a website, on a various series of web pages. So we have that second upsell in there. And what this is really good at is you build on what is called buyer's momentum. A lot of what you have to realize is micro commitments matter. When you're getting a person to start to say yes, and they say, oh man, I want that. I mean, have any of us ever gone on Amazon and we go look for Black Friday deals, which is something many of us will probably be doing this week. And what do we find? We find something that we think is really cool and we really use, and it's a really good deal, so we get it. Well, the next thing is we're looking for the next thing. We start digging and we start going for the next thing and the next thing. Well, what other deals can I find? And this works on some of the same psychology of like, you start with an offer that is just so good that you're so excited and you almost have this gratitude for this amazing offer that you're willing to say yes to the second and or third offer as well. So these are very, very popular. Number 4 is what I just call an opt-in funnel. And this is just a funnel that's where you offer a free resource. Again, could be a PDF, which is like a worksheet with, my top 5 tips for blank, or the top 5 tools that I use to do XYZ. Or it could be a short training that you're offered, and you're just offering that in exchange for a person's name and email address. And in this type of funnel, we're not even using this funnel typically just to make a sale. We're just really focusing on building an email list. So this is one, and many of you have these types of things on your websites or blogs already, where you'll put a blog post and you'll just have hey, download my, top 5, steps to do X, Y, and Z, and just enter your name and email address. That's an opt-in funnel. whether you realize that or not, it's putting a lot of hooks in the water just to try and get people to opt in and to build your email list. And then you can follow up with them on a variety of emails that maybe then lead to another training or something else, like a webinar funnel or a video sales letter where you can offer to them to buy a product. This is really, again, if you're really just looking to build your base, you're looking to build your audience, build the people that are following you, this is a great way to do it. And again, you're just offering resources to try and get that email list grown. Number 5 is what we call a survey funnel. Survey funnels, or sometimes we even call them assessment funnels, is another way of saying it. But these are where people are asked to answer a number of questions about who they are or what they are doing. So essentially you go in and, if you've ever gone into one of these, take the blank assessment or the whatever, answer the following questions about your business or about, your dog or whatever it may be. And people love doing that. People love answering questions about that. Well, what you may or may not realize is one of the questions in that survey or in that assessment is what we call the bucket question. Now, what do I mean by the bucket question? The bucket question is like, okay, so if this one, like there may be 10 questions in the survey. Question, for example, in this one, for example, we're going to say question number 5 is the bucket question. How you answer number 5 determines what page you see at the end of the survey. So if I give you 4 answers, I have 4 custom pages at the end of the survey that you can land on. If you pick option A, you go to page A at the end. If you pick option B, you go to page B, and so on and so forth. So your result at the end of the funnel is dependent on how you answer that one bucket question. And that's the customized sales page. And the reason that this works well is because that sales page, so like, for example, if you are a person who, wants to build a business and you answer like, I want to build a business, and then you get 4 options. So like one of the options is I want to be a speaker. I want to build a business to being a speaker. So if you select that as one of the options, I then send you to a customized sales page that talks about how the service or the program that I'm offered works really well for speakers. And if the other option was, example, I want to sell online courses, I would send you to a similar page that has a lot of the same stuff on it, but it's customized to say how our service really helps people who want to do coaching programs and offer coaching services. So it really allows you to speak directly to that person in the audience, and they feel like, oh, well, this is really talking to me. This isn't, because otherwise they may get to it and say, no, that doesn't really work for me. That's not really the right answer. That's not, what I was really trying to do. This really customizes the funnel. This really speaks more directly to them, and it gets a lot more people to see how they could be successful in their own desires based on what they want to do. Number 6 is a book funnel. A book funnel is where, and you probably seen many of these as well, you are giving away a free copy of a book, and I know we have a lot of authors in our group as well. You can give away a free copy of a book that you just do a small shipping and handling charge, and you usually even offer it with a bunch of bonuses to make it really valuable. You stack in a whole bunch of extra bonuses, so you're getting this free copy of a book, and you're like, just pay shipping and handling. So I get this book, I get the training, I get all these extras, only for like $9, $10. Wow, this is a great deal. And so again, it's a little bit like a Tripwire funnel in that you've just stacked the value super, super high on the front end to get somebody to say yes to get the book shipped out to them. And then as they go to pay for the book, there's a bump offer that's made. So would you also like to get the audiobook? Would you also like to get this, additional training that I did? Would you also like to get these additional worksheets that will help you work through the content in the book? If you would, it's just an additional $27 to add in, and you just click the button and say, yeah, I'd love to have that as well. So let me add that to my order. Once you click and purchase the book with the bump offer, then you're actually taken to 2 more upsell pages where they're offered the opportunity to purchase products or courses or services that are at an increasingly higher purchase price. So essentially, you may have started out purchasing a book for $9 with all the additional training. But again, as we built momentum and people are going through, now they're seeing, well, I could also get this, or I could also get that. And they're seeing the additional value in there of all the other things that they can get, and they're like, wow. And so you take a offer, which is just offering to sell your book essentially for $9, which is the shipping and handling charge, and you turn it into a series of people who end up buying all these other products and services as well. And this is absolutely the best way to take a book and turn it into a business. Because I can go on to this subject for a while, but this is one of those where I am so convinced that if you have a book and you want to learn how to take it and turn it into a more of a business where you're getting additional stuff sold in it on top of your book, this is the way to do it. This is the absolute best funnel for you to use on that level. Number 7 is what we call the product launch formula funnel. In this funnel, it's similar to a lot of the training ones, but it's a different way of doing it. It's a different way of doing the training. So instead of opting in for a webinar or a training where you're doing it all at once, you're opting in for a series of daily training videos, and usually 3 to 5. So this could be like something that you do, like, hey, get our free series of training videos. On day 1, we're going to talk about this. Day 2, day 3, where each day talks about a subject. And then at the end of the series, whether it be 3 or 5 days, however it is, the last video is all these videos are pointing them to the point where the logical conclusion that they're going to reach is that they need the product that's being offered at the end of the video series, based on all the information that they've learned and gleaned as they went through this whole training series. And at the end, that's where the offer is made. That's where the offer is made for your product or service. And this is where you're making the offer for them to make a purchase. Now, this is the one, some of you may already be familiar with it. This model was the one that was made famous by Jeff Walker, if you're familiar with him at all. The PLF formula, product launch formula. This is just really a way that he has used to make millions and millions of dollars in sales in his business. But again, it's about breaking up the training videos over the course of just a few days, where people can opt in a series of videos and do them in bite-sized chunks. Number 8 is what we call a summit funnel. This is where again, probably many of you have seen or participated in a summit funnel. This is where you gather together a series of thought leaders, and they're all brought in to teach on a variety of topics that's related to a certain theme. So the summit will have a theme. There will be a definite theme to it, but each leader is brought in to teach on a topic that's related to that theme. They're all being brought in to teach about a different piece of that puzzle on that theme, and their expertise is being shared. And then each thought leader was going to email their list. In exchange for them being on the summit, they agree to email their list. And this is where the person, so there's kind of 2 levels. You have the people who get invited as speakers to speak on the summit, and then you have the person who is like the summit promoter. Now, the summit promoter sets up all the summit, does all the coordination, does all the organization, does all the logistics. And as a result, kind of their payment for a lot of it is the summit provider gets all the emails. So all the thought leaders who are out there promoting their lists and say, hey, I'm going to be teaching on this summit. You should really on this topic. You should really come check it out, along with all these other thought leaders. I think it would be a great thing for you. And the summit promoter, the person coordinating the summit, gets all the emails. So their email list just gets exploded throughout all this, because all these other thought leaders who have lists are out there emailing their people saying, hey, come check out this summit, and the summit promoter is getting all the emails. And typically the summit is free. You can come dial in and listen to all the sessions free, but if you can't make them and you want the ability to watch some of the sessions on a recorded basis, that's usually offered to the participants for a fee. It can be $47, $97, whatever it is, something in that range. But there's usually a fee for people to purchase all the recordings, and that's usually made as soon as someone registers. Like, hey, the summit is free, and you can, as long as you listen to all the sessions live, but if you have any that you're going to miss, you want to get, hey, here's a way to get the recordings to make sure you don't miss any that you want to see. And it's only $47. And that usually goes to the summit promoter. And then the speakers are allowed to make a little money because they usually are allowed to make offers at the end of their talk. So they're usually allowed to make some type of offer so they get a chance, because they're having all these other thought leaders bring their people in too. So it's valuable for them because their audience is getting broadened, because not only did they send their people there, but all these other thought leaders who are speaking also sent their people, and you can make an offer while you speak, which gives you an ability to sell your products and services. The last one we'll talk about is what we call a challenge funnel. A challenge funnel is where we set out a free challenge for people to accomplish something in line with their goals. How to, write a book proposal in 5 days. How to rework your resume in 24 hours. And to make it highly effective, something like that. You're putting out a challenge for people, and at the end of the challenge, there's a clear benefit. Oh, at the end of this challenge, I'm going to be able to do X, Y, and Z. So the challenge typically lasts for just a few days, 5 to 7, usually at most. And essentially, that's where you're helping participants achieve a few small wins. You're trying to get these people into momentum. You're trying to get them into building on success. That, oh, I did this. Oh, okay, I get it now. I know what I'm supposed to do. I did this. I did this. I did this. This is really helpful. And I'm starting to get wins. I'm starting to get some success here. And this is awesome. I'm getting momentum in the direction of my goals. And I'm really, really excited about that. And so you have a lot of people who are just feeling that flow of momentum and going, this is amazing. I've been trying to break through, and I'm finally unstuck, and I'm finally making progress. And then at the end, what they realize is once the challenge is over, like, well, is my momentum going to stop? Well, that's when you make your offer. This is where you step in and you say, hey, if you want to continue momentum, if you want to continue making progress, here's the next things you're going to need to do. And if you would like to keep things going, here's the offer. You can purchase this, and we will keep this going, and you could keep making progress, and you keep marching forward and keep moving forward in the direction of your goals. This is where you get people like, oh, well, I don't want to stop. I don't want to lose this because I'm really doing well right now. I want this to continue going. So that's when you make your offer, and that's when they're like, well, yeah, I want to go. I want to keep this up because I'm finally getting progress. So at the end of all this, I just want you to know there is no one perfect funnel. I don't want anybody to think, well, what's the absolute right funnel for me? I want you to think about what is the goal that you're trying to achieve. What is it that you are trying to accomplish? And then look at these 9 types of funnels and say, okay, this is the goal I'm trying to meet. This is what I'm trying to achieve. So I think this funnel is the best funnel for me. And as a result, choose that funnel and stick with it. That would be the last thing I'll share with you on this, is that one of the challenges that I see is that people hop, jump, and skip on these things and don't stick with a funnel long enough. It can take a few iterations to get a funnel to work. It can take a few tries before it really takes off and you get it all figured out and it really starts to hum and generate a profit. So don't just hop in and hop out and give up. All of these funnels work. It's just a matter of getting it tweaked and modified and set up at a level where it's going to work and start to generate the profit that you're looking for. So I'm going to stop sharing with that.
Yeah, that's awesome. David, I've been doing some reading and continue to learn and grow in this area. And one story that I thought really, to your last point, that really hits home was I was hearing Russell Brunson, who has kind of become Mr. Funnel guy in the world, right? And he was saying that he was challenged years ago to not give up too soon on his, like he said, he was challenged that somebody said, look, entrepreneurs tend to try to launch their idea and then move on to the next one and then the next one and the next one. He said, he ended up working on his funnel, his webinar funnel, and he did it for 52 weeks, a live webinar for the first year to really build up ClickFunnels to promote it out there into the world. And that really hit me because I am that guy. I can create a lot of content. I can do a lot of stuff, I want to create. Having the patience to persist and refine it and everything, that's where I struggle, I know. And I'm guessing that there's other folks that are watching live or will watch this later that are like, yeah, that's me too. I want to keep creating. I want to keep writing. I want to keep producing or whatever. And so I think that's really important, that even if the people that have been super successful in the world of business that we're kind of aspiring to, if they had to learn those lessons, we're no different, right? We're going to have to do the same types of things to stay the course and tweak and adjust and everything. So Estelle has a great question that I think a lot of people probably ask, David, is can you distinguish between your website funnel or your website funnel software and do you need both? So what do
Yeah,
you say?
here's what I would tell you on that. Your website is what I really look to in many ways as being kind of the about you types place. Because a lot of times people will be like, well, who is this person? Like, who is Chris McClure anyway? Like, who is that guy? I see him and he's out there making offers on stuff and he's doing all these things, but who is he? Well, if I wanted to learn more about Chris McClure, then I go look up his website and I can find information about Chris. I can learn about who he is, about the things that he's doing, the different stuff that he's involved in, and get an understanding of him. The funnels are what we really use. So your website can just be on WordPress and it can be built, different kinds of themes and so forth. Those are really good to do that. The funnel software, that's where, anybody who's hung around me a while now knows that I'm kind of a ClickFunnels guy. I've seen a lot of other ones and I just look at it and go, I know what I'm seeing. And I know that, again, I know ClickFunnels has its issues too. Sometimes the tech stuff and we want to beat our head into a wall trying to make all the integrations and different things work. But the funnel software, what that is really built to do is to get people from an entry point to point A to point B, kind of like I talked about. As many of these funnels have multiple pages, many of them have multiple steps where you're going from A to B to C to D. And I really just, that's where that funnel software becomes very, very valuable. So I would use your website to give an overview of who you are, what you're about, what your kind of like your values, all those types of things. And then really give a good overall picture of you. And then your funnel should be all about a training, a resource, a guide, something that you're giving away and where you make your offer. And I do think you need both. I do. I think that the funnel software, can you do that on your website? Yes, but it's way more clunky. I've seen other ones and I look at it and go, well, I guess, if I put duct tape and baling wire and some, and some twist ties on this thing, I could probably hold it together and make it work. Or I could just go buy the software that was designed to do this very, very thing.
Yeah.
So
well, and another illustration or way that I've heard it said to Estelle's point is your website becomes like the hub, it's home base. And so like David says, they come learn about you, but on your website, if you have multiple offers, you can say, for instance, I've become more and more clear in my business where I say, what I can offer: life, leadership, and business coaching. It's kind of choose your own adventure. What is your thing that you really need to focus on or want to grow in or focus on in your life right now? And so then it's like, okay, if I want to get some life coaching, then there could be a funnel down that path for some, coaching and resources, courses and stuff. If it's leadership or business, same thing. So when they come to your website, then it's like, even if it's just one thing that you really focus on, because I know, Estelle, you're working on financial services and coaching and training. It's like you could, that's a great thing to just highlight who you are, what you do. I know you got to speak on a TEDx stage. That was awesome. And now, they can watch even that as part of it. So you could add even these things you've done as kind of the entry level things to connect with you. And then your funnel could be the offering, path that you lead them down. And David, I think that was insightful at the very beginning. You mentioned is just that it's when you can't have the conversation like we're having even right here, you're having to educate, you're having to build trust, all of this in one, virtual world or, website or whatever. And so you got to be really strategic about that. She has a follow-up question here. So so if you use the funnel software, does it integrate with your email autoresponder service, or does it create a whole other list? So you understand this world too.
Yeah, it integrates essentially, like especially in a ClickFunnels world. These ClickFunnels actually, you'll have it actually in both places, because you can send emails from ClickFunnels too. So if you want to send it directly out, like based on what somebody does in the funnel, you can send a follow-up message, but it also integrates with, like if you have ConvertKit or MailChimp or whatever other, Active Campaign, those types of services, it'll totally integrate with that. So if somebody opts into your funnel, you can set up the integration with that. So that name and email will automatically get transferred over to, for example, ConvertKit, because I know a lot of people use that one. But it'll get set up, and you can even set it up to tag them, to add them with a certain list. So you know even where they came from. Like they came from this funnel. So you can even then send follow-up emails straight from your email service.
Yeah. And once again, guys, I mean, like even ClickFunnels is a good example, right? I mean, in a lot of ways, it's very user friendly. But there are some technical components where, like David said, when you start to do integrations and you start to do some things, there are some behind the scenes or deeper level tech stuff that you kind of do have to learn. But so there's no perfect software, but they try to be as user friendly as possible. They've got thousands of users now that they've tested and everything. So, David, I think that this is just highly valuable, because I think, even to your point, like even an opt-in funnel, once again, not a big sales pitch that you're doing necessarily, but if you want to build a list that you can communicate with, start to build trust with from an email list side of things, that's a great funnel maybe to start with for some of you. If you're not quite ready to sell a product or a course or, a book or whatever it is you have, you can still start building your email list that way, and you can start communicating, connecting, and then people feel like, oh, I know this person, I know what they're offering, and now you can say, hey, my book's out, or my product's out, my course is out, and just go here if you want to buy that. And so then you've kind of done the trust building work to get there, so that it's an easier marketing opportunity for you along the way. So. Yeah, so I hope this was helpful, guys. I know that, in a lot of ways, this type of information we talked about already is kind of like it's drinking out of a fire hydrant at times, but it's very important. So Jeff has this great question that you popped up there. How do you rate the different funnel software programs? Because we are starting to see some competitors that I've started to hear some different names pop up with ClickFunnels, but, I haven't dug into any of them to know a lot about them. It's kind of like trying to dethrone Walmart or some big entity, Apple, probably at this point.
Well, here's what I know. And I know somebody asked the other day about GrooveFunnels, and GrooveFunnels is offering free memberships. And I don't know what that free membership gives you, if it really gives you a lot, or if that's a very stripped down version of the software. But what I know is that they're claiming like this massive growth. Well, yeah, but if you offer it for free, well, that's not quite the same, is it? That you're saying that you have just as many users. Well, yeah, but they're not paid users. And how can you really sustain a business on something when you're not getting revenue from it, because you're not going to be able to support the support team or the developers? So it doesn't work. So I always get skeptical when I see things like that. It's a little bit of it raises my eyebrow a little bit. And what I've learned is one of the things that all these companies come out and they create software that they say, oh, this is better than ClickFunnels. But what they don't have is the culture. And this is where what Russell Brunson has done so well is that he has created a ClickFunnels culture where his users, because it's more than just that. He gives all these trainings, he gives all these live events, all these other products and services. So you may even be able to create a piece of software that works better than ClickFunnels, but because of the lack of support of it, they're never going to have the revenue there to develop it beyond a certain level. Because ClickFunnels has this culture, it has this community, it has this built-in super excited base that supports it. They're always going to have loyal subscribers, and they're always going to be, all flocking to do the stuff that's in ClickFunnels. And as a result, ClickFunnels is always going to be able to expand into new offerings. They're always going to be able to add new things, whereas everyone else isn't. And that's why, again, especially when you start moving into the world of integrations and things like that, what you want to make sure of is if you have one that's a little bit of more of a one-off type service, that isn't as common, well, then it may not work on as many integrations. You need to understand that, because like the big players all make sure that like the big player wants to make sure it integrates with the big player, right? They want to make sure that they connect because it's equally beneficial to both of them. If you have a small player in there and a big player, the big player may not integrate with a little guy. And so that's where another issue that you run into. And again, these things can be very buggy. They can have a lot of tech issues, and you want to have and make sure that they're supported. So again, I look at it as there's a reason ClickFunnels is number one. It's the reason it's the strongest one out there. And I just don't see that changing anytime soon. Not to say that it's impossible. It is possible, but I don't see anyone out there. There have been hundreds of ClickFunnel killers over the last 5 years, and most all of them have like vanished into the night. So
yeah. So a couple of things I'm thinking, David. Just after you guys have watched this and he's kind of explained these 9 core funnels, drop in the comments which funnel makes the most sense to you right now for your business. Tell us what you think based on those. Which one kind of resonated with you the most, and you feel like maybe that's the one I should start with. The other thing is I want to encourage you all to do is pay attention. Like David said, right now with Black Friday sales, it's a great example. Start watching what other companies are doing. It's funny, David, when I see an ad on my Facebook feed now and it's like the free book offer, right? I know what's getting ready to happen when I click that button, but because I've gone through these funnels enough, I realize, that I almost had to brace myself because I'm kind of an easy sale. I've realized like, oh, that sounds really exciting. Like the book is great, but the course sounds great. And this sounds like, so I had to kind of prepare myself. But that being said, I mean, that's even one of the things Russell Brunson talks about is to be better at this. Start studying the funnels that you are going through yourself. So, you can go get the free book, watch what they do for the secondary offer or the bump offer, the page 2 offer, the page 3 offer. Pay attention, take notes, because they may not all make sense to you for what you're offering, but you can start to study and see. So don't just be a consumer, be a student of funnels, because all these different businesses that are doing this have some sort of funnel with them that they're leading you down. So think about that. You probably started even recognizing in your mind, like when you heard about a challenge funnel or the opt-in funnel or the webinar, like you're starting to realize, oh yeah, that's what they were doing. But the majority of people, I would say, they just kind of enter these funnels kind of blindly because they're not studying them and learning about them, because they're not on this side of it. They're not trying to build a business. They're on the consumer side, the purchaser side. And so they kind of feel like something's happening, but they're not quite sure. Now, when we're on this side, like I said, I enter into a funnel and I'm waiting to see what is the next thing that they're going to offer me. What is it that they're doing? How does that connect with their core offer at their front end versus step 2 versus step 3? And I think we can learn a lot. And David, would you agree? I mean, is that something that you've done over the years, is kind of pay attention to that?
I'll even raise you one. I mean, I'm the guy who goes through a funnel, even if I don't necessarily want the product. I will go through a funnel just to buy stuff, just to see it.
Yeah.
I'm not even necessarily wanting the products. So I will buy stuff just because I want to see what comes next. And here's another trick that I do. When I go through someone's funnel, I don't just go through the funnel. Okay. If any of you have OneNote or Evernote or something like that, one of the things you have to realize is that you can save web pages in those programs. So what I do literally is I will go through a funnel. And yes, I'm a funnel hacker. Yes, you would. That would be legitimately. I go through stuff.
He doesn't have his T-shirt on right now.
No, I don't. I don't have the T-shirt on. But yes, I like my friend Jim Edwards. He looks at me and just kind of gives me the shake of the head, because I have his funnel pages saved in a file. It's like, oh yeah, you're talking to me. Like I get on a call and I'm like showing him the different like the page 3 in his funnel. He's just looking at me. You saved them all? I'm like, yeah, I did. And so I literally have every page saved. So what does that mean for me? Is that when I'm thinking about creating my own funnel, what do? I go back to Jim's funnel. I go back to Russell's funnel. I go back to all these other people's funnels and I look up their pages. And I'm like, how did they present this? How did they structure this? What can I learn? What are all the different things that I can do to put in here that I thought they did really well? So I take all their pages. So every time I go through, I have every single page in their funnel copied and put into a file for future reference.
That's really good. And I'll say this, David, you built my book funnel this summer, and you kept telling me, keep giving me this information. And I was going, enough, quit asking for more. And yet it really challenged me, which was, it helped me grow a lot. But here's the other thing I did. I think I told you this, was I would go to like Russell Brunson's book funnels, and I would look, kind of doing the same thing. I'm like, how did he write that? How did he do that? And how can I adjust that? And so I kind of took that's the funnel hacking side of this, right? Is you see what's working in people's funnels, and you kind of model that and go, okay, well, I see how he did that. I see how he did this. Now, how do I take my language, my message, my product, service, book, whatever? And so that's the thing I think that's really on this side of it, from a business building. If you're developing a business and you want to grow your business, learn and study from those who are ahead of you, right? David Estelle asked, do you recommend doing the ClickFunnels 30-day challenge?
Yes, I do. I think it is a really good challenge to do. One of the things I would say is it can be a little intense. That if you're going to do the 30-day challenge, don't do it if you have like 15 minutes a day to spend on it.
Yeah.
Then
to me, you got to invest an hour or two a day. Would you agree?
Yes, you need to actually. Do I think it's a good challenge? Absolutely, I think it's a good challenge, and I think you would learn a lot going through it. But if you're not willing to put an hour or two a day into it every single day that you're going through the 30-day challenge, then I would say, probably not, because then you're just not going to get enough value out of it, and it's going to be. You're just not going to get your money's worth out of it, and you're far better off, doing something else. But yeah, it is intense. There is a lot to it, and it's it's just a time consumer. So if you're willing to put in the time, yes, I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, I would agree. I've signed up for it twice. The first time I kind of fatigued. I got very tired after a few days of trying to keep up, because at the time I really didn't have that type of time. I didn't understand that I needed to invest that hour or two a day, and it became tedious for me. And I benefited from it. Don't get me wrong, but I couldn't say that I really completed it the way that they intended it for. So be ready for it. It's not just do this in 10 or 15 minutes and do the next thing like a lot of other challenges are. Jeff asked, do you have a checklist for evaluating funnels? Do you have something, Dave? I'm thinking more about the sections on the funnels that I pay attention to, at least, is what's in that header section, how they do the video, how do they do their headline, how do they do the body copy, all that. Like, that's at least how I look at it. Is there anything that you have differently?
Yeah, I don't have necessarily a checklist. It's more of, for me, think about what your objective is. What are you trying to achieve? Like, again, a summit funnel is going to be very different from a book funnel. A webinar funnel is going to be very different from an opt-in funnel. So, like, think about what are you trying to sell and what are you trying to achieve? And then, in all honesty, if for example, if you're trying to sell a course, because I know that's a fairly common one that's out there. If you wanted to sell a course, a webinar funnel would be good. A VSL or video sales letter type funnel would be good. Those are all really, really good options. If you have a book that goes with it, you could sell it as part of a book funnel. So there's different ways of doing it. Now, if you don't have a book, then a book funnel is not the right choice for you. So you have to think about it in those lines. There are multiple ones that will work, but think about, like, again, what is like a challenge funnel, I think, is good for selling higher ticket type programs. So if it's a higher priced one, if it's a $200 course, I wouldn't use that one for just for like the product launch formula where it's 3 to 5 days. No, I wouldn't do that. I would, if it's a smaller course and a smaller program, I would shorten it down to just a webinar or a video sales letter. So you're just going to do it. If it's a bigger program, that's when you can expand the duration of it, because you're giving people more time to learn and grow and develop in this idea before you ask them for a bigger take. So,
well, and folks, I would say too, one of the things I think we have an advantage in our business online world today is you can create a lot of digital products and have low overhead on, you don't have to have a physical book. You don't have to have a physical product. There's a lot of information products that people are looking for, downloadable PDFs or guides or, ebooks or whatever. It's like, that's to me, David, I think that's one of the most exciting things about the business world we can be in right now online is, we don't have to have a bunch of inventory. We don't have to have a bunch of printing costs, creation costs. It's really, we're investing our time and putting our knowledge into a package, whether it's like I said, an ebook, a course, even a coaching program, where if it's a group coaching program and you do a webinar to get people enrolled in that or whatever it may be. So, folks, just, I want us, as we kind of wrap up today, just think about how, there's all these different types of funnels. Don't get overwhelmed because you don't have to have every one of these by any means. Like David said, don't give up too soon on a funnel. Keep tweaking it, keep working it, keep figuring out what's working, what's not. And the other thing, David, and we won't get into this today so much, but there comes this point on the front end of it, you got to do marketing work as well to get people to even click the link to go to your funnel is part of your process ultimately too. So you can have a great website, a great funnel, but you have to do that work of really building the audience and the trust in other ways before people will even click and follow you. So that's why we say there are so many moving parts to all this. And that's why we call this design, launch, grow, because there's different stages of the business that you may be in, but there's different parts to each of those stages that you have to do.